Hello everyone and welcome to a Fluent modeling tutorial. Today we're going to be modeling this nice sci-fi panel. So let's go ahead and bring this reference image into Blender and let's begin. So I have Blender opened up and we have our great default cube welcoming us. So let's just tell him to go take a break and let's bring in the reference image first. So to bring in a reference image, let's just do Shift A and then let's go to image and click on reference. And I'll just browse to the folder where I have that reference image. So I have it in my drive D. And it's under refs. I think I called it refs, and there you are. Okay, good. That wasn't so hard to find, was it? So what we are going to do now is just to set this object. So I'll set this all to 0 and 0. And I'll set this to 90. And so what I'm going to do is just rotate this axis. So I'll just look at this and grab this and then kind of like rotate this up. So it's kind of like facing us. So this will just be 90. And what I'm going to do is just drag this to the left. So we can also use the shortcut key G and X and just drag that to the left. So we could just have this reference here. And what we can also do is if we go down to the data, we can turn on the opacity and then make this slightly transparent. And basically that's it. We've brought in our reference image. So we can look at this and kind of see what we're doing to see if we're following up and looking at this object. And whenever we're done, we can always, hide it like we hit the default cube. So I'll be using Fluent, which is a very nice add-on for creating hard surface models in Blender. So first I'll press the F key and I'll go over here to creation because I want to create this, and I'll right click on this plane right here. Now I want this creation surface because what we can do now see we're going to be creating, but it's going to be kind of like flat, but our image is vertical. So I want to align this. I'll just press R to reset that, and I'll go over here to rotation and I'll click on the axis I want to rotate. I believe this should be the y-axis, but let's try this. So that's not the y. I'll set this to 0. I'll just click. Sorry, set this to takes a little tricky getting used to. I'll just leave it at that. So let's try the x. That's not it. So let's try rotating along the x. And I believe this is what we want. So I'll just rotate this 90 and click validate so that we can actually see we have our shape right here. So what I'm going to do next is just draw a nice rectangular shape. And I think this is not too bad. So next, if I drag left and right, I'll be adding the thickness. So I'll just drag a positive thickness along the y-axis, right click. I can just right click to validate that. Now you can see we don't have a bevel here. Adding a bevel makes this really stand out. And I also want to turn on the cavity. So I'll just go over here, click this drop down, and on the cavity, I'm going to set this to both. It's on already, that's great. So let's add a bevel to this object. So I'll press F and go to add bevel. Once we have the bevel, we can increase the bevel. If I press F again, I can set the bevel width and just bump this up a bit. I don't want it to be too much. I think 0.0218 is a fine number. So let's start seeing how we can create some of these cuts. And so we have a cut along all these edges. So what we can do is to quickly just create that and then mirror this cut. So create one cut and then mirror it. Let's just do that. So make sure we're selecting the object. Let's press F. And here, let's go to cut. Let's right click. And what we can do is to just create a shape. Small triangular shape like so. And then let's do shift click to validate that. And let's just move this to cut this edge like so. So let's right click and validate that cut. So what I want to do is to mirror this cut on the y-axis and also the bottom. So let's click this, go to mirror, And let's click here and then click down as well. So let's right click, let's click this to validate, and right click and validate and quit. So we actually have that edge. Now I notice this our shape is quite wide, so we can always, you know, kind of like change this and increase that width using Blender's tools as well. So because we're using Fluent, it doesn't mean we have abandoned Blender. In fact, we have to use Blender in a lot of situations, like cleaning the mesh, adding more faces, adding edge loops and cuts. Basically, Blender is the powerhouse and Fluent is the tool. So next thing I want to do is to add these cuts here, this one here at the center. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. So I'll just click the Fluent object, and what I also like to do is to just have it open like so. So if you have it open like this, it will save you from having to jump to pressing F all the time. And also, if you leave your mouse cursor over any of the object, it shows you the shortcut. For instance, showing our Boolean objects is the greater than less symbol. So I can press that or just click, and we can see our Boolean objects right now, which we use to cut this mesh. We can also click it to hide it. We can also turn on the wireframe or click on technical display, and this will actually do the same thing. So let's create this cut right here, the one at the center, and that looks like a hexagonal cut actually at the center right here. So select the object and go to cut / add and right click. Now I want to start cutting from here, so I'll hold down rectangle, I'll hold on shift and click just to drag and draw this from the center. If I want to make this a square, I'll just hold control as well, and I think this is a good one here. Oops. So let's left click, hold down shift, click on that, and then we can add this cut. If you want the cut to just pass through, just press V and you have a nice clean cut that passes through. Now the edges of this cut, I want to make it kind of straight. So let's right click on this, click on the first bevel, and what we can do after we do that is to right click and say straight, and so that we can have this kind of like edgy, nice clean cut. So right click and just right click anywhere to validate that cut. Let's just look at this. So we have some artifacting around it, which is not good, but we can always clean that up later on. We can show our booleans and select the object and go to edit. If we want to edit this object, and what we can try and do is to just move this object a bit. So I'll just click on this, try to move the object. I'll just use my undo and just leave that. So we'll tackle that issue later on. So what I also want to do is to quickly add some of these cuts right here. So these are small rectangles. Let's quickly add those rectangles at the left side and the right side. So I'll add an array and add them on the left, and then mirror the array on the right hand side. So to do that, let's click the object. Let's go to cut add, right click, and let's just get over here and then create one. So I think that's not in that position. If we look at our reference, it's not really, yeah, it should be around, say, maybe here. So we're just eyeballing it. It's not perfect, but we're just eyeballing this object. So I'll quickly press V so that this passes through our shape like so. And let's just look at that. First bevel, let's right click. So we can even add our segments. Oops, so we actually have an issue here. I accidentally clicked on the object, but that's how we can actually do that. So next, let's right click on this object, right click to exit. So I think we've had a little crash right here. So I'll just pause this and reset. So like I said, it's a tool and sometimes you actually have this issue. So I'll close, save the project, close Blender and reset, and that should actually get us back on track. So I'll just save the project and let's call this panel 02. So I'll just call this door. So I'll save. So I'll go to File, Save, and I'll close Blender and restart it. So that happens, and I want to also include this in the video so we can all see, when you're using the tool, in case that happens. So we're back here. So what I'll do is to click this guy, go to Show Booleans, and I'll click on this Boolean, and I'll go to Edit. So here, I'll just right click and create an array on this axis. I'll drag another one, and I'll press C to drag 4 of this. So I'll right click, I'll just go over here and validate. That means I'm happy with this. So I'll just right click like so, and I'll go to mirror, and I'll mirror this along this axis so that we can actually see this object being mirrored along this axis, and I'll click on validate. So I'll right click to validate. Now we're seeing some strange and weird artifacting, and this is not really nice to look at. So what's happening here? What we need to do is to help Fluent by adding some edge loops on this object. So let's go to edit mode, and with edit mode selected, what we can do is to go here and say add a loop cut. So let's add a loop cut here, here, and a loop cut here. Let's add some horizontal cuts as well, just to add some additional details that will help this model. So once we're done, let's go back to object mode. You can see we have more edges. Now this might not be the best, but at least we're adding some edges here, and we're going to get rid of this artifacting. So next, let's add a cut along this side and this side as well. Now we also have a circular cut we can mirror along these edges too. So let's add these small circular details. So let's go to cut add, right click, and this time around let's create a circle. So here I'll just say circle, and it's going to be along this edge like so. So I'll just click here and draw a very small circle, and we could just cut through and press V. So we can actually see it's also having issues here. So what I'll do is to try and push this down. So I'll do a G and do Z. Let's just try to drag this down a bit, and I'll also do a G and then X to drag this along the X-axis and place it somewhere here. I think that's fairly nice. So what I can do is just right click, and here we'll do mirror. So mirror along X and the bottom axis, so we can have 4 of this, and I'll just right click to validate that. So we have those 4 holes punched in here. So what I'll do is to create the cut right here, this one. So to do that, let's go to cut add, right click on the shape, and let's just draw a rectangle. I'll just draw a freehand rectangle here. I think I'll just put that down a little bit. I think about here should be fine. Yeah, I think here should be fine. So I'll just click on this, and then we'll add a cut, and I'll press V so this cut can pass through. And for these edges, okay, I think it's on straight edge, so that's why we have this. Right, so our first bevel is on straight edge. Okay, so we can just have that. And what we can do is to increase the segments like so. So I'll right click and validate that. So let's mirror this cut to the other side. So I'll just right click and say mirror along this axis so we can actually see it mirrored there. So I'll validate this and right click to validate this action. So next, let's create this weird looking cut here. It's actually not going to be that tough to create, so let's just do that. So let's go to cut add, right click, and we can press and hold V and drag to the right so we can add more details. And what we're going to do is to use the shape tool to build in this shape. So I'll just start from here. So I'll create this and kind of like click over here like so. I'll just drag a horizontal one like so. Doesn't have to be super duper perfect. I think I have it over to here. So let me just press reset and kind of like move this to the side so we can clearly see that. So again, I'll click on the shape tool and let's start from like over here. Click here, click here, click here, then click this side, click here, click here, and click here, and then we can hold shift and left click and we're done. And we can push this and then use the V key to validate that, and you can right click to validate that cut. So let's add this little cut right here, and I think I also have some little holes here. So let's do the holes quickly, then I add the cut along this center. So let's do a cut add. Let's right click to draw the grid. Let's click on a circle and let's just add it right here, I guess. Yeah, let's add the circle right here. And I'll just quickly press V and right click and mirror this guy to the right. Click on validate and now right click anywhere to validate that cut. So what we'll do next is to create this at the center. So I'll just flatten this guy and let's see, we can just use a nice rectangular cut on that section and we'll be good to go. So make sure I'm on rectangle and I'll just get rid of this distraction and let's create a nice rectangle shape right here. Let's do our cut and we'll just press V to validate that and right click to exit. So I actually noticed this shape right here, I'm not too happy about this shape. So let's go ahead and see how we can fix this guy. So I'll click on show booleans and click on this boolean and go to edit and see why it's not really making me happy. So I'll go to the first bevel and yeah, I think this is much better. Yeah, I'm happy now. So what we can also do is see we have this nice chipped edge here. So let's go ahead and add that as well. So let's go to cut add, right click, and let's just find, we can draw a triangular shape just to cut that shape out here. So I'll just do this, or I'll just reset that and put this slightly above like so. Whoops. Don't forget to click on the shape tool. Let's create a nice rectangle cut. I'll kind of like zoom in and hold shift. Yeah, I think this is fine. If I hold shift, it'll just snap. Whoops, I did the wrong thing. So let me just quickly undo that. Click on the object, go to cut add, right click, click on our shape tool, and let's add it here. 1, 2, 3. Hold on shift and click. And now what we can do is just drag this guy over here. And now we're having some artifacts. So let's see how we can fix that. So let's do a GX and then kind of like push this I think that's fine. So let's go here and let's go to our first bevel and make this kind of a little bit soft. And what we can do is check our segments. We can add more segments to increase the detail. Let's see what happens when I set this to straight. It's not happy, so let's set this to concave. I think leaving it at convex is super fine. So I'll just click on this and let's hold that and mirror this guy and mirror it along the x-axis so we can have two of this, and click on validate and right click. So next we'll add a nice cut here at the bottom. So let's do that. Let's right click, let's click on this, go to cut, add, right click, and let's just draw a rectangle like so, and let's just press V so it cuts through. Now we'll just right click and validate that and take a look to see if we don't have any weird artifacting. And next thing we're going to do is to create this shape right here. So we'll just create one and create an array to, distribute them. So let's just quickly do that. So here I'm going to cut, add, right click, and I'll just draw a rectangle shape here, and I'll press V so it just goes through. I'll right click, go to first bevel, right click again, set it to straight, and just drag this. It's not really too much. So let's click on this and let's go to array, and let's click one here. Now here's the problem. If this is kind of large and we might not have three of them, so I'll just try C and just drag this and set this to 3. I'll click on validate. So what I want to do now is to just drag the dimensions along the X just to move this kind of closer to each other. So when it's close like that, I'll click to validate and I'll just use G and X. So I could just drag this along the X axis, place it somewhere around there, and I'll right click any empty space to validate that selection. So yeah. So what we can do right now, because we're like virtually done with this, what we can do right now is to add a little bit of details, and we can always, kind of like edit what we've created. If we go to show booleans, we can always click on a boolean and go to edit. For instance, if I find out that the dimension is too much, I could just drag this Y and just make this slightly smaller. Alright, click on show boolean, click on this boolean, go to edit, click on the dimension, click on the Y, and I can just make this a bit large. And click on that. What I can also do is to add a taper to the object. So let's say I want to add a taper along Y. We could just add that taper to make this, slightly different. You see how we're changing that design. I'll just leave it there. So basically, other additional things you can do, we can increase the number of edges and stuff. So basically that's how you can let's just validate this. So that's how you can use Fluent to kind of like quickly create and see your objects. So I'll just press N to get rid of this, and if I go back to the image plane, I just hide this so we can actually see our object. In our next video, I'll show you how you can fix these artifacts that we have on this object. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next quick tip.